Thank you for tuning in to this special announcement, Nerd Noise Radio. This is an announcement that will largely impact the YouTube viewers, and I apologize if it sounds a little halting or unprofessional. I felt I was better to do this one unscripted, because if I did it scripted, I feared that it would seem a bit standoffish. So forgive all the pauses. I'll try to edit most of those out. I'll try to edit most of the ums out. But what I've been observing over the past year doing the show is a strange sort of migration. My listenership, I try not to pay too close of attention to the numbers, because that's an up and down thing, and it can lead to false elation, or it can lead to bitterness and depression. And I've experienced both looking at numbers, so I try to pay as little attention to them as possible. However, there's one trend that has not been able to escape my notice, and that's that a migration is happening. Like, my total listenership is not changing remarkably. It's not going way up, it's not going way down. Paying as little attention as I do, I can't say for sure. I think overall it's gone ever so slightly up, which makes me happy. I want it to go up. I don't want it to go down. But what's happening is the Podbean / iTunes, the podcast side, those numbers are going way up. While the YouTube side, those numbers have basically fallen off a cliff. I think my listenership on C1E44 on Podbean was over 100, or if it wasn't over 100, it was really close. Whereas the number of clicks on the YouTube side I'd be surprised if it's over 10. It's probably not even 10. In fact, I'll go look right now and see what it is. Nerd Noise Radio C1E44. 12 views, and that's a lot higher than it usually is. Lately I've seen ones that were 5 or 3 or 8. A far cry from the early days of the show when it was 100 or 80 or 60. So overall, my listenership is staying pretty constant in terms of numbers, and I haven't lost subscribers to the Nerd Noise Radio YouTube channel. But what I think has happened is a lot of people have unchecked those notification bells, and just when they see that there's another episode of the show on YouTube, they kind of look away. Now, I'm not bitter about this. I'm not upset or depressed or bitter about this. It's not a defeat for me. It's just, it's a migration pattern. However, because the listenership is so small, and it takes 3 hours or more to make a YouTube video on top of the work that goes into making the audio version, plus having a baby in the house and having a lot less time to get away to work on this, I don't know if it justifies the 3 hours of work for the 5 to 15 clicks for an episode. So that's part of it. And the other part of it is I'm not planning on abandoning the Nerd Noise Radio YouTube channel. I still have plans for it. In fact, I have some big plans for it. In fact, at least 3 plans for it, at least, with the possibility of more. And I'm going to stay completely tight-lipped about all of them but one. If you've been paying attention on Facebook, you've seen some videos, some Facebook Live videos with me and my daughter, Chloe. Stuff like that, I envision moving over to YouTube, and not making it regular, but making it less infrequent, more frequent than it is. And I definitely don't want people missing that stuff, the new content, whenever it rolls out, because they've turned off the notification bell because they're tired of getting episodes of Channel 1 that they're not wanting to see on YouTube, maybe because they're already listening on iTunes or whatever. I don't want a show that's only getting so many views on YouTube to be an impediment to adoption and viewership of these new programs. So again, I'm not bitter about it. I'm not calling it a defeat. It's just, maybe the format isn't ideal for YouTube, and that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes you learn those lessons by watching those numbers go down. But effective almost immediately, I'm going to stop making YouTube versions of Channel 1 episodes. I've already done C1E46. That video is done. That video is already uploaded and just needing to be made public. That'll be August. I'm still going to roll that one out. But I think that will be the last one I produce other than special events. For instance, the highlight of our year, best of 20XX, whatever the year was prior, it's a two-parter, and the first episode comes out this coming Wednesday, with the second one coming out the following Wednesday. So it's the biggest deal of the year for the show, and I don't even have YouTube videos made for those. Now, maybe what I'll decide to do with Channel 1 and YouTube is still release the big deal ones, like the best of 20XX, or, episode 50 or episode 100, or the listener picks episode, or something, something really, really highlight. I might still release those. And if I decide to go that route, then maybe I'll go back and create belated YouTube versions of the best of 2018. Or maybe, later this month, I'll be thinking, crap, I really should just put these out, and when I'm not under so much pressure to get, for the deadline for the audio versions, I could possibly change my mind and release C1E45 Part 1 and C1E45 Part 2 on YouTube. But for the moment, they are not made, and I don't think, Part 1 definitely won't be made in time for Wednesday's launch. Part 2 probably won't be either. But I just wanted you to know what was going on. I do know, even though I guess for lack of a better term, the faithful on YouTube is very, very small, they are very, very faithful. And so I don't want them to be left in the dark. And no, I didn't die, and I didn't rage quit, and I didn't, end up incarcerated or whatever, So I wanted to make sure the YouTubers got the message and knew where to find me. So the podcast, audio only, you can find it on Podbean. You can find it on iTunes or wherever podcasts are sold, wherever your podcatcher of choice is. There's also a reruns channel, separate channel, where I just pick a random previous episode and share it anew. And that's on Buzzsprout, or again, that's also on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. The first one's called Nerd Noise Radio. The second one is called Nerd Noise Radio Reruns. Subscribe to both. Subscribe to either. Hopefully you won't subscribe to neither. I hope I won't lose the people who are left on YouTube in doing this. And listen, if there's a big outcry, if there's like, no, we want this, we need this, please do this, then maybe I'll pick it back up and just, either make the episodes retroactively that we missed in the time between, or maybe just call that the dark out period. So also, I'm available on Twitter, I'm available on Facebook in 3 different forms. There's the Nerd Noise Radio page, which is not very active. Nerd Noise Radio Easy Mode, which is where we just share tracks and just nerd talk, simple, general geek culture talk. And then there's Expert Mode, which is also not very active, where we talk video game sound hardware and music theory and composer information. It's kind of the gearhead section. So you can join me on any of those. And then, of course, I'm also a member of the VGM Podcast Fans group on Facebook, Alex the Messenger's group. You can catch me there. If you're from the Midwest, there's Midwest Retro Gamers Society. You can get me there. I'm also the organizer behind the Podcasters of Des Moines Facebook group, with a Facebook page to follow, so you can find me there as well. So, and then again, like I said, don't unsubscribe, because I have big plans for YouTube. In fact, the next big frontier for Nerd Noise Radio will probably involve YouTube. So stay tuned. We're not going away. We're just, at least for the time being, until outcry says otherwise or something else changes, we're just getting rid of Channel 1 on YouTube. Anyway, I had to say something. I didn't want to not say something and just catch you guys off guard. So, on the YouTube side, I will be back in August with the at least for now, final Channel 1 to appear on YouTube. C1E46 Face Off Friday Volume 3. Guest hosted, guest vetted, and guest curated by, well, I'm going to keep who the special guest is under wraps for now, but it's a name and a voice you've heard before on the show. So, thank you for listening to this. Like I said, if this really breaks someone's heart or makes you really sad or mad or anything, drop me a line on Facebook, on Twitter, at email, nerdnoiseradio@gmail.com, or of course in the comment section on this or any of my other videos here on YouTube. So, thank you for listening. Thank you for joining me on this adventure, which is still not over. And I hope you'll find me on the other outlets and stay here and keep an eye out for what's coming. And meanwhile, wherever you are, fly the N. Jeez, I do this every time. You've got to be thinking that I'm doing it on purpose, as a gag, as a bit. And that'd make a great bit, but it's not. It's an honest mistake. The background music for this announcement is Sadness from Unlimited Saga, Platform Unknown. It's composed by, I didn't write this down ahead of time, so I have to do the scramble. Composed by Masashi Hamauzu. Okay, have a great night. Thank you for listening.